sometimes people get drunk and they just make more mistakes. And then number three, most criminal offenses that are non-violent aren't really a big deal. Let me show you this graph that I'll edit in later. Right now I'm just pointing to the air and it makes me look really dumb. But this is a ratio of people in prison, and then on the x-axis it's what crime they committed, and then on the y-axis is percent of population, so how many, right? The long bar that's clearly above all the rest is drug offenses, and the other small bars are actually real felonies, or real crimes such as like murder, like attacking someone with a weapon. But the long bar, which is significant, which is most of the population in federal jail, are for drug possession or drug offenses, which you can see why a lot of people are arguing now that people that with drug offenses shouldn't be in federal prison because it's really expensive, and honestly, it's a waste of life. Like, people make mistakes and they should pay for those mistakes or amend those mistakes and do their time, but in my opinion, you're better off having someone do a lot of hours of community service where they're picking up a lot of trash from the side of the freeway than not really contributing to the world being locked up in a federal prison. And I'm sure if you're watching this and you're in my generation, if you know friends that went to EDC, if you know friends that go to Coachella, if you know friends that go to what's the other one, Tomorrow World, likely your friends had enough drugs on them to be considered a felon. So, I mean, if you consider your friends good people and they just want to go to a rave and have a good time, then you shouldn't be so hard on felons who get caught with drug possession, is what I'm trying to say. Alright, but let's get back to the main point of this video, which is helping people who have something on their criminal record get a job. Now, the best piece of advice I can give you is that there are certain companies that don't do background checks. Number one, most startups don't do background checks. I think a lot of people make assumptions. If you're able to get educated enough to work at a startup and you're that successful, then you're probably not a criminal, or at least a serious criminal. So a lot of startups don't do background checks. They kind of just trust their intuition with how they interview, and they just trust that you're a good person. The second type of way you can get a job when you have something on your criminal record is to do contract work. Examples are freelancing, blogging, photography, anything. Actually, there's a lot of different types of contract work, so I don't want to put limitations on that. But anytime a company hires a contractor, I think the best example is for me. I kind of work for YouTube as a contractor, since YouTube pays me once a month from ad revenue. And YouTube never did a background check on me, nor do they care, because I am a contract employee of theirs, or I wouldn't even say contract employee, it's two different things. I'm a contractor of theirs, an independent contractor, and if I do something stupid, it's not representative of YouTube. If I was an employee of YouTube and I did something stupid, then it represents YouTube. So that's the reason why they do background checks on employees and not background checks on contract employees, because you're not really an employee. You don't really belong in that family. They're just paying you to do something. Alright, so the next thing I want to mention is that I actually got a misdemeanor while I was in college. And I would tell you guys what the misdemeanor is, but I hired a lawyer to have it removed off my record. So if someone did a background check on me now, it wouldn't be there. And so to go on YouTube and say the crime I committed, it's redundant. It's dumb. Why would I go through all the effort and then just tell people on YouTube what I did, right? It's off my record. So first I'm going to start off with the most serious of felonies, and then I'm going to work my way down to misdemeanors. So if you have a violent felony, you can never have that reduced. Violent felonies are on your record forever. So your only options are start up your own company, contract work, and then working for a startup. Those are your best bets, honestly. Any place that does a background check and they see that you've done a violent felony, you're not going to get a job there. That's just real. There are some states that forgive convictions after a certain amount of years. So if you live in California, if your conviction is older than 7 years old, companies won't find it if they do a background check. But not all states do that. A lot of states that are harder I guess, more conservative laws, that's on your record forever, and in that state, you probably will never get a job if someone does a background check. Now, if you have a non-violent felony, such as drug possession, you can get that reduced pretty easily to a misdemeanor in most states, especially in California. It's called Prop 47. So with Prop 47, if you have a drug possession felony, you can get it reduced to misdemeanor, and that's a lot better. A misdemeanor is a lot easier to get a job than a felony. Felonies are usually an automatic no for most companies. Misdemeanors, some companies are okay with it. Not very many, though. And larger the company is, less likely they're going to be okay with it. So, especially say like Boeing, Northrop Grumman, any big company, I mean, there's a lot, right? Most big companies are not okay with any criminal record. Smaller, mid-sized companies may be okay with a misdemeanor. So with misdemeanors, if you're a bright kid and you're like well-educated, you actually went to college, you're in a situation where you're looking for a job, and you don't argue with the police, pay all your fines, and you're a first-time offender, most of the time you can get your misdemeanor reduced to nothing, as in it will never be on your criminal record. The most you'll probably get is you may have to do some classes, and you may have to do some community service. I mean, if you get charged with a misdemeanor anyways, you're going to have to do community service, and minimum amount of community service is about 40 hours, and it ranks up really really quickly, depending on your offense. I think DUIs are about 80 hours for your first time, and then I think second DUI is like 200 hours or something like that, but I'm not really sure, and it depends on your state. So if you get your first misdemeanor, be sure to hire a lawyer before you make your first court appearance. A lot of times how it works is like you'll get your misdemeanor, so the cop will write you up, and then you have to show up in court, because you're not guilty yet, right? You haven't been sentenced. So it's best to hire a lawyer and have them fight for you, and in most cases, if you're a first-time offender, it will be just a warning-ish. I mean, there's a lot of fees, so that's your punishment, is a lot of fees. And this is really important to you, because in my situation, I got my misdemeanor, and I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna plead guilty, right? So I pleaded guilty, and then I looked online, and I was like, wait a second, I read some laws saying, like, if you're, a first-time offender, and your misdemeanor is hurting your job search, you can have it removed, the misdemeanor removed. And by removed, by the way, it just means that companies can't look for it when they do a background check, but the court and police officers will always have access to your records. But, I mean, who cares, right? I mean, in the end, it's the job search that really hurts people. So I looked online, and I was like, wait a second, I could have had this removed. So I called 2 lawyers in Orange County, and my misdemeanor was in Orange County. And I was like, hey, I'm looking at this law right here, and it says, I can have a misdemeanor removed if I'm looking for a job and it's hurting my job search. And both lawyers were like, oh, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. You should have hired a lawyer when you first got your misdemeanor. But once you show up in court and you get convicted, you can't reverse it. Like, but there's a law right here. I'm reading it on Google. It's a law, right? So I was like, the heck? I don't, what? And so then I actually contacted a lawyer in LA County, that's actually near my home, because he had a really strong Yelp page. And what's crazy is the other 2 lawyers in Orange County had really strong Yelp pages too, like 4.5 stars. So I figured, why don't I just at least do a consultation? So I arrived in this office, do consultation, and he's like, yeah, dude, I think you have a pretty good chance of winning this case. I'm like, really? So I was like, okay, let me sit down and think about it. And so I thought about it a little bit, and I was a little bit sketched out about hiring this lawyer, because 2 lawyers in Orange County, and in case you guys don't know, laws are very county-oriented too. Courts in the county are very different, right? So these 2 OC lawyers who specialize in Orange County say I can't get this removed, and it's an Orange County offense. My LA County lawyer, who doesn't specialize in Orange County, says he can get this removed off my record. So I was like, oh, should I hire this guy or should I not? And it was pretty expensive. It was about $1,300. So I said, screw it. I'm going to hire him because, you know what? Google search says I can get this removed. So I hire him, and we do all the paperwork. I send him my transcripts, I send him my resume, and he builds up a portfolio for me and an argument of saying why I should have this removed, because like this minor misdemeanor is preventing me from getting a job. And it was a really minor one. It's like not very serious at all. It's like stupid, right? And then I also cited like a bunch of jobs that I've applied to that asked for a background check and stuff like that, right? So then finally we go to court, and I was like nervous. I could only imagine how people who actually have like serious crimes feel when their verdict is being read, because mine was like whatever, but like people are facing like 10 years in prison. I can only imagine what that feels like, right? I'm not saying what the crime they committed is not bad. Obviously they committed a bad crime, but I mean, being empathetic and trying to understand how other people feel, even in situations where it's hard to feel empathetic toward that person, I think is a good skill to have. So I'm getting my sentence read, and my lawyer makes a good case for me, and I'm standing there in my little suit, because you should always go to the courtroom in a suit. And my lawyer actually makes some pretty damn good points. He's like, he's 3.5 engineer, has 2-3 internships and whatever, and then the prosecutor always has to be there and always has to argue against it. And their argument was like, well, he's not even done with his probation period, and there's informal and formal probation. Most people who get a misdemeanor on informal probation, it's not really that big of a deal. It just means that cops can search your shit when they want to. But then after it's really not that big of a deal. Formal probation is a much bigger deal. But anyhow, so I wasn't done with my informal probation period, and then the prosecutor was like, he's not done with his informal probation period. Why should we make the exception for him? And honestly, the prosecutor has to argue against you, even if he likes you or not. It's just his job, right? To be honest, he really didn't want to argue against me. You can read it in his face. He's like read 1 or 2 sentences, and he's like, and he's like sat down. Judge thought about it for a second, looked over the documents, and then judge chose my side, and I had that misdemeanor removed off my record. Now my lawyer told me, he's like, yeah, we did this, but it would have been a guarantee if I hired him right when I got the misdemeanor before I pleaded guilty, when your case is pending. So that's the case I won, and now I don't have anything on my criminal record, and I can apply to jobs without worrying that they're going to see a misdemeanor. Now, just a couple of last tips about getting a job with something on your criminal record. Don't choose a career where you have to go to people's houses. Anything like a plumber, electrician, technician that has to go to people's houses, they're the strictest out of all careers. Tutors, like home tutors, don't even try. If you have even the slightest thing on your criminal record, you will not get a job at those companies. It's okay. There's a lot of careers out there, and particularly the IT company, IT tech, kind of like new age startups. They're the ones most lenient about criminal records or doing background checks, because I think they acknowledge that most criminals, non-violent criminals, are really not that big of a deal. Most being drug possession, and really, someone really not make a good employee just because they got caught with some drugs? Not really in most cases. So when companies do background checks, they usually check 3, sections or areas. They check every county that you've lived in, every county that you've worked in, and then the national database. However, not every state contributes every record to the national database. So if you do commit a crime when you're on vacation, or a place that you've never lived or worked before, there is a chance that it will not show up if you do a background check. So that's one way that you may be able to dodge having a crime show up on a background check. But that was my video for this week. I know a lot of you guys can't relate to this one because you guys are probably really good guys and don't do anything bad, I hope at least. But for those of you that have made mistakes or have gotten caught with drugs at a party or something like that, I hope this video was helpful to you. And if you know someone that has something on their criminal record and needs some help, share this video with them. And also be sure to subscribe, because